Welcome back. In this video, I'd like to share with you a new topic. But to be precise, I want to try to give an answer to this question, this crucial question. How does American presidential election system work? You know that this year, in November, at the very beginning of November, there will be in United States election day, the election day in which the next president of the United States will be elected. The electoral process is for the president of the United States, it's very complicated. And there are no similar electoral system all over the world. You know that in the United States there are so many parties, but basically there are two main parties. The Republican Party, called Great Old Party, GOP, and the Democratic Party. Each party can name a candidate to run for whichever government function they please, in this case for the presidency of the United States. So, if there is a politician that aspires to run for the presidency, at the very beginning, he must first gather a scout committee, which start to study how many chances this potential candidate has to, in order to win the presidency. And another particular aspect is his ability to raise funds for the campaign, because, as you may know, the presidential race is very, very expensive. So, when this scout committee has finished its job, they decide whether or not the candidate is eligible for the presidency. When the process starts, the presidential campaign starts, the campaign will start in all the 50 states, and they start with what they call caucus and primaries. This is the process by which the Democrats and the Republican Party in each state say which candidate they would like to be, to be elected to represent their party in the presidential poll. So each candidate gets a certain number of delegates to the party's national conventions that will take place late in summer, at the very beginning of autumn, fall. So which party nominee is formally chosen, and the primary and caucus determine which candidate those delegates vote for. Broadly speaking, the more voters from a given state give their backing to a specific candidate, the more delegates pledge to support this specific candidate. So, to support a candidate that will vote for him at the National Convention. So let's focus on caucus and the primaries. Both Democrats and Republicans have different caucuses. The Democratic Party gathers its members in different locations. These locations are buildings, churches, schools, theaters. So people gather in this location, and in each room there is go the people who participate in the caucuses who support a specific candidate. So each room of the building represents a candidate, and the voters go to the room of the candidate they want to support. If a candidate gathers less than 50% of approval, is dropped out of the race, it's eliminated. So the one candidate with the most support wins the caucus. The Republican Party caucus is decided just simpler upon informal vote, such as a show of hands. They raise their hand and they vote for this candidate instead of, flocking in each different room. Primary, it's a direct voting on ballot. We will discover the meaning of ballot shortly. Have you ever heard about Super Tuesday? A Super Tuesday is the occur usually in February or at the very beginning of March, and is the day in which a lot of states hold primaries or caucuses simultaneously. On February, there is also February or March, there is a Super Tuesday in which California, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, and many other states will organize caucuses and primaries. The caucuses and primaries are not held in the same time every election year. They change. And this year, for instance, it happened early in February. From 1972 to 1992, the exercise began in late January or occasionally early in February, and the nominations were settled to the first Tuesday of June, when, for instance, California, New Jersey, and Ohio held their primaries. In 2020, this year, Election Day will take place, as we have said, I told you, at the very beginning of November. But what happened for the Democratic Party? At the very beginning, there was a huge number of a candidate aspiring to be the nominee, to gather the nomination of their party. If I remember quite well, there were almost 20 candidates. But, many of them decided to drop from the race. And so only one candidate is still running for the nomination. And we can say that the former Vice President John Biden is actually the presumptive Democrat candidate. Obviously, the incumbent president Donald Trump will be the Republican candidate. When all the caucuses and primary, uh, this process is over, each party uh, will organize a convention, a national convention. So each state has a certain number of delegates based on the famous rep by pop, representation by population. So the winning candidate in certain state will take the most delegates from there to the state summer party convention, thus yielding him her more considerable chances of being appointed to the official party candidate that will run in the actual election. So till the election when the convention is over, from that period till election day. Usually, Iowa and New Hampshire have a specific state law that they must be the first state to hold this political meeting. So they then agreed that Iowa would hold the first caucuses and New Hampshire would hold the first primary. Once the delegates of each the 50 states are chosen, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party both hold the convention, as I told you before, for the final vote. It may happen that some delegates, for instance, some is not the case this year because there is only one candidate. But if there are, when the convention takes place, there are two different candidates, it may happen that one or more delegates from elected to support one candidate decide to vote for the other one, but is not is something that happens rarely. The candidate that wins the most delegates so is chosen to run for the presidency. And in this occasion, he announced who is the running mate. And sometimes he pick up the running mate from the defeated some defeated candidate, normally before the convention. And what happened in the convention, the main thing that happened is the acceptance speech. During the convention, the winning candidate will accept the nomination, so it is acceptance speech. The first year, it happened to me to watch to watch on TV the convention. It took place in Boston in July 2004, and I was impressed to see the beginning of the acceptance speech delivered by the Democrat candidate John Kerry. He started by telling, thousands of people gather in the convention hall, "I'm John Kerry, and I'm reporting on duty," because, as you know, John Kerry was a Vietnam veteran. Another anecdote that I'd like to remember in this convention, usually there is one person who is in charge to deliver the keynote speech. Keynote speech is more important than the acceptance speech itself. And in July 2004, an unknown senator from Illinois named Barack Obama delivered the keynote speech. And I still remember his word. The final lap and election day. So after the convention, the actual campaign starts and candidates fully square up against each other. There is a massive spending on TV advertising, a major flurry of state-by-state campaigning. Much attention is paid to the televised debates between the candidates. Also, I'd like to watch live debates, so I have an early wake up in the morning around 3 a.m. to watch the debate because I'd like to watch, this debate. Not only the presidential candidate, but also the vice president candidate. In 2004, for instance, Mr. Kerry won the debate, but Mr. Bush won the election. And what is important is to win the election, not the debates. Instead, in 2012, for instance, Barack Obama won the debates and the election as well. In the final weeks, the contenders typically concentrate their attention on big so-called swing states. There are so many states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, New Mexico. These states are called swing states or leaning states because the outcome of the election is quite uncertain and it may determine who is the winner. On the voting day, always the first Tuesday of November, the winner in each state will take all of the delegate or electoral votes the state is entitled to. So those delegates will vote for their party candidate in the electoral college. Summarizing, based on the population, each state has a certain number of the electoral vote. So there is a popular vote and electoral vote. A candidate who wins the popular vote may not win the electoral votes. This is the difference. The winner in a state take all the electoral vote, okay? And the one with the largest number of electoral vote wins the election. There are 534 electoral votes. So the magic number a candidate must win is 270. 270. Just to give you an example, California is 55 electoral votes. If, for instance, John Biden wins California, he gathers 55 electoral votes. If he wins New York, he gathers 31. If he wins Pennsylvania, he gathers 22. If he wins New Hampshire, he gathers 40 electoral votes. Summarizing, the candidate which wins 270 electoral vote will win the election. So, in this year of a pandemic crisis, who has hit also United States, we have to wait, be patient, and see who will be, wait and see, and discover who will be the next president of the United States. Obviously, someone is his own candidate. I have my own, but I don't want to tell you who is. Thank you. Thank you for watching. See you soon.